Okay, so today we're going to be revisiting our tier list, the one that we did a long time ago before ArcheAge Unchained got a lot of views, so I'm going to redo it, and we're going to be doing it live on stream this time, and we've added a bunch of new classes since last time. It was before Swiftblade even came out, and I'd never played it really. Not really, I literally hadn't played it, and neither had anyone in our region at the time, so I didn't have any opinion or any idea of how the classes would fit into the meta, and yeah, I know for a lot of you guys that are probably watching this right now, the whole, what's the gunslinger class is out right now. It's not available in my region yet, so this video will not include any gunslinger bullshit, because I haven't played it myself yet, so I have no fucking idea how it goes. So, if you have any opinions or, you know, want to share some shit about that, join the Discord or whatever, and you can talk to other people from those regions over there who know shit about gunslinger, because right now I know fuck all about it, and yeah, we're going to just be talking about all the classes that you see here. So we have 70 fucking classes today. The classes that are pretty irrelevant and belong basically anywhere in B tier or below, I'm going to say very little about because I don't want this video to be super long. So really only going to have things to say about classes that belong in the higher tiers. And if chat has any contradictory bullshit that they want to include, then we might have a small discussion about some, you know, some classes as we go along. So we're going to try and do kind of spec by spec, so we'll do like, I don't know, mages, then healers, then melees, you know, etc, so that I can break the video up into different sections. So I think we'll start with mages, simply because most people play mages, so that's going to be most relevant for most people. I don't know if that's not based on any statistics other than the fact that all of my mage content gets more views. So we're going to go with that, alright? So, all of our blue ones that we have down here are all fucking mage classes. We have about 15 or 20 of them, like a lot of them. So we're going to go through, and a lot of these are probably going to be high tiers, because a lot of them are really good classes. So let's start with the classic Bone Song. Now this is the spec that I played for one of my more popular PvP videos, where it's occultism, fucking malediction, and songcraft, and it's hella fun to play. Really good and cheesy in 1v1, kind of average in large scale raids, unless you play it. Yeah, it's just, there's better versions of you know, that kind of spec to play in raids, at least. But Banesong's really fun. I think, in terms of fun, it's double S tier. In terms of 1v1, it's S tier. It does have counters. And in terms of raids, it's probably like B tier or C tier or something. So I'm just going to leave it at A tier. I love Banesong, and it is a happy, you know, misspelling that it's called Bone Song here. But Banesong, right? I think it belongs in A tier. Tell me if I'm wrong. Emissary, good spec. It's basically the more raid-esque version of Banesong. It's malediction, occultism, oromancy. It's basically the raid version of raid malediction version of fucking, what do you call it? What's the other class that everyone loves to play that's really good? Fucking shit. What kind of think of it? I'm looking on down here. Not Reaper. What the fuck is it? The engagey bullshittery. It'll be blue. Revenant, that's what it is. It's basically Malediction Revenant. Yeah, it's probably not as good as Revenant. So I think Emissary, though it's good. See, is Revenant an SS tier and Emissary is an S tier? Or is Revenant S tier and Emissary is A tier? We'll go with A tier for now. I think, yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think Emissary is pretty equal to Banesong in terms of 1v1. Better in raids, but it's less fun. At least for me. I think it belongs in A tier. I don't think it's better enough to go in S tier. So we'll go with that. Saboteur, basically the same fucking class as Banesong. You just don't have Songcraft. Probably a little bit better in raids, but no, whatever. Bonesong SS tier, I 100% agree. I think Saboteur kind of belongs here. These three basically have, you know, the same kind of playstyle. They're just slightly better and worse in different situations. Saboteur, Banesong, definitely more 1v1 oriented. Emissary, definitely more raid oriented. What the fuck, you didn't move it? Nah, listen. I'd love to put it in SS tier because it's a personal favorite class of mine, but it doesn't belong in SS tier. I'm sorry. It's not good enough in raids and open worlds. It's actually kind of shitty. Anyway, outside of 1v1 compared to a lot of other classes. So, Zealot. Zealot, just a B tier, not worth talking about. Ebon Shield, again, there's better classes that are doing the same thing. It's solid in raids, but you're trying to do too much. B tier. Spectre is... fucking always get these two confused. I literally just talked about it before we fucking pulled up in this video. Which one's Spectre? Spectre is the... Is it the Oromancy one? Fucking... Spectre's the Songcraft one, right? Alright. Spectre, really, really good in raids. Kind of average in 1 versus 1. But a solid class all around. Definitely belongs in S tier. Same goes with Spiritualist. One of them's the Oromancy version, one of them's the Songcraft version. They're pretty equal in their playstyle. I think the Oromancy one does have a slight edge just due to its survivability in raids. But, yeah, there it is. Spiritualist. Actually, do I give the Oromancy the SS tier? Let me just double check here real quick. If I pull this up, it's Malediction, fucking Oromancy. Where the fuck is Oromancy? Oromancy and, for fuck's sake, Sorcery. Spiritualist. So Spiritualist is probably SS tier. Do any of you guys disagree? I think it suffers in 1 vs 1, but we definitely weigh a class's ability in 1 vs 1 less than its abilities in raids. Like, raid value is, in my opinion, more important than 1 vs 1 value, because most people don't give a fuck about 1 vs 1, at least I think. More people care about raids and group PvP, and I think Spiritualist is really, really good. Fnatic, obviously, it belongs in SS. It's fantastic in raids. It's fantastic in 1 vs 1. There are, you know, it's not the best Malediction Sorcery class in raids. It's probably one of the best. It's equal to Spiritualist in raids. The survivability isn't quite there, but the damage output is definitely better than a Spiritualist. Definitely belongs in SS. There's really no argument. It's fantastic in 1s. It's fantastic in small scale, large scale. Naval, on the land, it's good everywhere. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much just that. Daggerspell. We'll talk about Daggerspell. Now, Daggerspell is really good in 1s. It's actually pretty solid in open world now that cast time mages have become more meta, in line with the meta. So, I think, honestly, S tier. Because, like I said, when you have really low cast time, like if your cast time's at 40% and you're using a staff, Daggerspell becomes actually quite good in 1s. Because you're not standing still casting as much. And it's actually quite good in raids, because you can put a bubble down on yourself and just kind of stand in it pretty safely and free cast. Any melee tries to jump on you, instantly bubbled. And that's just good. You know, you don't have the backup of Songcraft to give you that extra output in a raid, but you don't really need it when you can still one-shot people with Arc Lightning anyway, and then still back up your raid with some CC from Witchcraft. So I think Daggerspell belongs in S tier in the current meta. Anyone disagree with that? I don't think you should. Arcanist is pretty much the same thing. Actually, I think Arcanist I'd put 1 rank lower, simply because it's not as good in 1s, because you don't have stealth. Actually, the lack of stealth is not as much of an issue, because Occultism allows you to Shadow Step and Hell Spear anyone who's in stealth anyway, and you can break people out using crows sometimes. So I think Arcanist actually is pretty much the same as Daggerspell. It just really comes down to your playstyle. You prefer the more survivability of Arcanist and the small situations where if you find yourself in a safe situation, you can actually, pull a clump of players and crowd control them yourself and put some damage down. Or do you prefer the, being able to drop back and stealth and shit as a Daggerspell? Both, I think, belong in SS tier. If anyone disagrees, let me know. Spellslinger, definitely SS tier. It's fantastic in 1s, still is, probably always will be. And, it's not as valuable in raids as maybe a Daggerspell or an Arcanist, because you don't have that CC. But you do have way more offense, because you can remove a Raid Breaker's shield, you can remove anyone's shield for that matter, you can reduce people's defense, you can charm, which is just invaluable in a raid. So Spellslinger, I think, in pretty much every scenario is fantastic. You probably don't want to have a raid full of Spellslingers, but having 1 or 2 to, apply more consistent charms and drop people's shields and shit between their Arc Lightning cooldowns is definitely something that's important. And I think that's really good. And I think Spellsong, which is basically the same class, probably, it doesn't belong in SS tier simply because it's really weak in 1 versus 1. So it probably belongs in S or A tier, simply because you don't have stealth and you don't have occultism, which are two kind of, you need to have one or the other in 1 versus 1, or you kind of will struggle. At least you're at a big disadvantage, right? And I feel like I shouldn't have to explain why that is, right? So Spell Song, I don't think anyone would disagree with me if I put it in A tier or S tier, but I think I'm going to put it in A tier, simply because... yeah, I think it belongs in A tier. You can make... I think if I could put it between A and S tier, I probably would, but I'm going to go with A tier today. Enigmatist... Legalized tells me it's SS tier, but I kind of disagree with that. You do have Stealth, so it does make it more viable in ones, so it gets points for that. But you don't have the Songcraft that Spellsinger gives you in raids. And yes, you can do clumps because you have Oromancy, but you have less CC than an Arcanist would have to back up those clumps. You only really have like Freezing Earth, and that's about it to kind of clump people. The reason why I say Enigmatist is SS tier is because you're way more tanky since 7.0 because stat changes. That's true, you do get the survivability, but so does Arcanist, right? Like the only thing that... you know, you have the same survivability as an Arcanist, but Arcanist can provide more CC to a raid and more CC in ones, but it's weaker in ones compared to Enigmatist because you don't have stealth, right? But like I said, with the weight of 1 vs 1 power to raid power, we're valuing differently here in this list. I just see everyone uses Enigmatist on EU at the moment. Well, Enigmatist is really fun to play. That's another part, right? Like, not only is it solid in certain situations, it's also really fun to play. So should we give it an S tier just because it's really fun to play the class? But I also don't want to debate people, right? Like, if you're playing with a staff and you're an Enigmatist, your survivability is already pretty low, right? The Oromancy helps, and if you're, you know, have reasonable stam, then that's good. But I don't want to debate people, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in A tier, right? You're saying S tier, but I feel like I'm gonna keep it in A tier. We'll revisit it later. We'll see. Let's go Blightcaster. I think all three of these classes, Blightcaster, Swiftstone, Mindslaver, they all have their applications, but you wouldn't want more than one in a raid, ideally. Like Swiftstone especially, I'm not a fan personally. Blightcaster, probably go B tier. Mindslaver, probably B tier. I wouldn't be mad if I see one in a raid, but I definitely prefer to see, like, Emissaries or fucking Fanatic Spiritualists, right? I feel like, every mage plays Enigmatist current patch. See, this is the kind of insight that I need from you guys, because I'm a few patches behind in Southeast Asia, so tell me in chat right now, those of you who are in chat who aren't over here on Southeast Asia with me, if you're on NA or EU, and you're playing Enigmatist or you're playing against a lot of Enigmatists, do you think that Enigmatist belongs in S tier? S tier or A tier? Tell me right now, and we'll change it based on what you guys say. Reaper, solid in ones, kind of solid in raids. I wouldn't, yeah, I think Daggerspell and Arcanist are more valuable in raids just because Occultism with low attack speed does feel kind of shitty compared to, you know, casting the Witchcraft spell, so I'm going to put it in A tier. I can't listen all the time, and I'll hop in between because I'm in a meeting. I'd go A tier. Alright, so Legalize says A tier. We'll see what other people say, and then we might change it. Demonologist, good to have in a raid. Solid mobility, but... yeah, Demonologist, solid if you want to play like a hybrid kind of tank mage spec, although I don't think it does anything that Revenant or Emissary does better, so I think I'm going to put it down here. I don't know, I feel like Demonologist, you just, I don't know. If I have 1 or 2 Demonologists, maybe 1 Demonologist in a raid, and they were more on the tanky side with like a Scepter and actually had, Scepter and Shield and actually had decent damage, same as how you would build like a more offensive Revenant, maybe, but it really comes down to how you build it. Dreambreaker. Now, Dreambreaker is probably, I mean, a lot of people will probably be mad at me putting Dreambreaker in, like, A tier. They probably want it in S tier. But, I don't know, dude. I don't like Dreambreaker. A lot of people probably have arguments against me on that. But Dreambreaker, if you know what it is and you know what's up about it and you play it well, probably S tier. But I think for most people, I don't want to debate anyone. I think it belongs in A tier or even B tier. I don't know. Dreambreaker used to suck for so long, and now it's actually, like, kind of alright. It's SS tier, what the fuck? No, it's not. You're trolling, dude. Dreambreaker, just to clarify, right, am I right, is in, it's Sorcery, oh yeah, Sorcery, Oromancy, Witchcraft, right? That's Arcanist. No, wait. What the fuck is it? Wait, what is it? That's Thaumaturge. It is? Is it just named differently on Southeast Asia? No, what the fuck is it? Sorcery? Sorcery Oromancy? Is it Sorcery Defense? What the fuck is it? I feel like I knew what it was. It's definitely Witchcraft, right? That's Kabbalist with Oromancy, Arcanist. No Sorcery. Wait, what the fuck is it then? Is this... Wait, is it this? Ah, it's that. Why do I have it in blue? That's what threw me off. It's not green like the tank classes. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay. I was confused. I apologize, chat. Yeah, this definitely, paired with, like, Night Cloaks and shit, like, having a Dreambreaker or two in a raid is definitely fantastic. People, like, actual tanks with defense Oromancy who are focusing on doing some witchcraft shit, yeah, I'd put that in S tier. But is it as valuable as a Skull Knight? Like, is Skull Knight slightly better? So, like, you put a Dreambreaker and a Skull Knight next to each other, which is better? Skull Knight, right? Skull Knight's going in SS tier. Is Dreambreaker going in SS tier alongside it, or is it going in S tier? Witchcraft 2 broken. Okay, alright, we'll put it in SS tier. It's meant to be a tank, so it probably should be further on. Maybe we'll just leave it down here next to Skull Knight and cover it later. Same with Revenant. I was getting Dreambreaker confused with fucking a different class, so that threw me off. So ignore all the shit that I said before them. What the fuck was Requiem? We already forgot. Just D tier it. Doesn't belong anywhere until I remember what it is. Alright, so that's Mage is done. The next most popular class that we'd see most people playing is obviously going to be Melee. So we'll go through the Melee classes now. And we'll start with the meme specs. Ghostblade's Ragebinder. These are the Malediction-esque Melee classes. Bit of a meme in my opinion. People were trolling me in chat earlier saying that people actually play this shit now. I don't fucking believe it, alright? I'm putting them in D tier. They're fun as hell to play, and it's a good meme, but it doesn't belong anywhere. Blade Dancer, S tier. You know, I don't know. I feel like Blade Dancer, you feel too squishy in the front lines as a two-hander with Blade Dancer these days, right? In PvE, it's fantastic, but obviously that carries no weight here. It's a PvP list. I don't know. Blade Dancer, I don't think belongs in SS tier anymore. I feel like Dark Runner and Shadowblade Executioner just do stuff better. Blade Dancer is hella fun, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it belongs in SS tier anymore. Maybe that might be controversial, but, you know, Dark Runner, SS tier, always has been, always will be. More survivability these days, especially since the stat changes. Melees are a lot more stamina heavy than what they used to be. So, you know, they're running like 30k HP minimum and sitting in the front line just pressing triple slash, doing lots of damage with two-handers. Shadowblade, also SS tier. Executioner, also SS tier. Both fantastic in ones, both fantastic in raids. Although, honestly, I'd probably put Shadowblade down here. I don't think Shadowblade's as good as Executioner in ones. And I also don't think Shadowblade's as good in raids as Hexwarden and, what's the other one? Hexblade are. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in S tier. Also might be controversial to some people. But nevertheless, Argent, get the fuck out of here. Stayla's old shit class. You know what, Paladin, you can go down there while I'm at it too. Fuck it. Get the fuck out of here. Alright, so we got Hexwarden, which is Battlerage, Oromancy, Witchcraft. Fantastic in raids, but slightly weaker in ones than the Blood Reaver counterpart. So I think I did say I was giving more weight to raid heavy, and it is fantastic in raids. So I think I'm going to give it SS tier. I think it deserves it. I think that's a meta class, and it deserves it. Same with Blood Reaver. You know, you don't have stealth, so people would think it's a bit weaker in ones, but the fact that you have occultism makes it really, really good because you can shadow step behind stealth players anyway, which is fantastic. Belongs in SS tier. It's fantastic in raids, fantastic in ones, good everywhere except for PvE, but like I said, PvP list. So what am I going to say? Hexblade. Hexblade is the fucking defense version. Honestly, I think Hexblade's probably better than Hexwarden. So I think... So, I don't know. This is tough. Because Hex Warden you get occultism, sorry, Oromancy, so you can do your own pulls, which is nice. But Hexblade I feel like is more valuable in a raid. Paladin bad, but it's cool. Alright, look, Paladin gets C tier because it's got style, because you think it's cool, alright? But listen, no one's gonna give a fuck. Unless it's like here and above, no one's gonna even blink twice at any of these classes, I feel like, anyway, so, you know, small victories, I guess. But yeah, what was I saying? Hexblade, I think, is more valuable in raids than Hex Warden is. Maybe I'm wrong about that. More survivability, more utility, especially in, like, a siege. I don't know, Hexblade... I think Hexblade's better. It's better in 1s than Hex Warden 2, because defense gives you a lot of things in 1s that Oromancy just really doesn't. Except specifically against mages, right? Forgot Edge Ripper, by the way, in Sorks. Dude, Legalize, you're a troll, dude. Get out of here. Finish your work so you can leave early, maybe. Fuck off. Okay, alright, we'll get into the Swiftblade shit now. That's pretty much all of our Battlerage main classes, so these are more, like... If you're looking at these classes, you're either looking at two-handers or you're looking at one-hand shields. So you're looking at like two-hander for all of these, or like one-hander and a shield for maybe the tanky classes if you really want to play frontline as like a Hexblade, or you could do one-hander shield with a Blood Reaver or a Hex Warden and shit. But more just two-hander meta, right? Get the fuck out of here, Legalize. So let's get into the Swiftblade stuff, alright? Let's get the less good shit out of the way first. So Blade Chanter, if you're a D-pen build, is pretty solid because you're only taking a couple points in Songcraft. I'd say A tier. I don't think it belongs in S tier or above. It's solid for damage output, but it is kind of clunky to play because you have to do setups for your damage. So you're doing critical discords and dropping people's shields and shit with your Songcraft crap, which is fine. And you do get mobility out of Songcraft in your double step, your double time. But Swiftblade Battlerage gives you so much mobility anyway that you don't really need to take a third skill tree for mobility alone. So I don't think double time is really that good when you have like 3 blinks and behind enemy lines, right? I think it's just an inferior movement ability in that regard. In saying that, the output's good, but I feel like you will find that you're lacking a comfortable amount of skill points to really take all the points you want in all 3 of those skill trees. Now, we'll go Phantom. Phantom is, I think, also A tier. It's the same situation where it's really good on paper. It's Battlerage, Swiftblade, Witchcraft. It's really good on paper, but in any Battlerage Swiftblade skill tree, you're working with like 4 or 5 points minimum in your 3rd skill tree. And with Witchcraft, you know, that's not leaving you with much. Like, let me go here and just pull it. Witchcraft here, you can take your Mirror Warp, which is great. You can take your Banshee Wail, which is great. Actually, you know what? They really did make Witchcraft better, because there's no real good skills that are locked behind fucking passives now, which is great. Occultism really gets fucked by that, because almost all of the good skills are locked behind passives. Whereas Witchcraft really doesn't suffer from that anymore. So maybe Phantom... I still think Phantom belongs in A tier, though. I don't think it deserves an S tier. It's just not played enough, and there's a reason for that. It's just, you don't comfortably get enough... I don't know. Maybe... I don't know. Maybe it's just not enough good gamers out there to play it. Phantom, I think I'm not going to get any arguments for putting it in an A tier. It's not like A tier's trash, right? So Curse Brand, SS tier. It's really good in raids because of occultism, and you're still your Battlerage Swiftblade. Really good in 1s because of occultism. It's just good, right? You really just cannot argue with Curse Brand. It's basically just Executioner, but faster. You know, more bursty, but, you know, probably not as good in the front lines. It's more, in a raid, you're doing more of the, like, assassin-y kind of shit with a little bit of CC on the side. Flashblade? I think Flashblade is somewhere in the S or A tier region. If you're taking Oromancy as a Swiftblade, you literally will take, like, Teleport, maybe a Conversion Shield, Thwart if you want the defensive side of that, but maybe, like, Courageous Action for popping into things. If you got a couple points, you'll take Oromancy to do pulls in raids if you want to do that. If you get enough points, Stroganoff is fantastic to have for escaping. and yeah, it's just good survivability because of the passives and shit, right? And if you're the type to like Comet Spoon, then that's fantastic as well, right? So Flashblade, you know, a little bit lacking in the 1v1 because you don't have stealth outside of your Shroud, and so I think we'll put it down in A tier. I think the 1v1 lacking side is kind of what's going to pull it down from an S to an A. Still good, but doesn't deserve an S tier, I don't believe. Let's see. Death Wish. Death Wish is SS tier. There's just no going around it, especially if you're a D-pen build. You can take that 5th point in stealth, in Shadowplay to get the stealth. Makes it really good in ones, really good in raids for the assassin potential of it, and yeah, just lots of mobility, and having stealth is always good, and the attack speed just gives you way more output as a melee, so that's fantastic as well. Death Wish, SS tier. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. If you do, you're an idiot. And Swift Shot. I'm going to put Swift Shot in an S tier. Might be the most controversial thing I do all day today, but I've talked about it before. I think in the current build patch that I'm playing, Deadeye is actually kind of insane with just giving you 3,000 defense penetration as a melee. Now, there is a caveat to this. Swift Shot is only good as a melee if you're a crit build. If you're a D-pen build, then there's literally no point giving yourself 3k D-pen more, unless you're playing really early in a server. Then it might be valuable. But late game, if you're a Death Wish, you're looking at having, like, in combat, if you have your stacks up, you're looking at having, like, 15k defense pen anyway. Against most players, you don't need another 3k. Maybe it would be nice to have a bit more D-pen, but you really don't need it in most cases. You're still going to delete leather wearers and most clothies anyway with the amount of D-pen that you have late game. So it's not necessary. It could still be fun for you to play, but I think as a crit build, like, you could be repping crit cap with like 13,000 defense penetration in a fight, which sounds disgusting, and it's really fun to play, and it's actually quite cheesy in ones. Because mages and archers who don't have Bondbreaker, basically, so non-melees, you can snare them from 30 meters out, and basically they have to Defiance or they die, and that baits out the Defiance. And then if you bait out their Defiance, then your charge is a death sentence. So it's actually really good in ones as well. Is melee dual wield without Swiftblade not viable? I wouldn't say it's not viable, but if you're not doing Swiftblade, then you're definitely just better with a two-hander these days. Two-hander is just too good as a non-Swiftblader. Swiftblade makes dual wield better, essentially. So yeah, there's that. And that's basically our melees. Yeah, that's all of our melees. So that's melee covered. How far are we into the video now? Fuck, I didn't press record, did I? On this end. Shit. Well, I guess I'm going to have to pull this from the stream later on anyway, which is fine. It's fine, I'll just highlight it later. Alright. So let's pop into... We'll do the last DPS. We'll do archers before we start dipping our toes in the healer water. Let's go. Let's speedrun this. Howler, D tier. Get the fuck out of here. Bastion, C tier. Not interested. Blink Hunter. It's fun to play, but down there. Zephyr. Fun to play in raids. Kind of weak in 1v1, but really interesting and fun to play, at least. And... the output's there, but you suffer with skill points, and that's the really tough part of Zephyr. Avatar, definitely more fun, more interesting in ones, especially with like the maneuverability that you have, and it's extremely fun. It's a little bit scuffed to play in raids because you find yourself blinking on targets and then blinking back to apply debuff to them so that you can get your move speed and your D-pen stacks up. So there's that. Stone Arrow. Fuck you, Stone Arrow. Literally, unless you're doing ones for cheese and you just are scared of melees and you're a frail fuck, it's C tier. I'm sorry. I don't think it quite deserves to be D tier, but if you're playing Stone Arrow, then you're just a frail cuck who's scared of fucking melees, and you're really just cucking your own raid because you're not going to do any fucking damage, unless you're extremely geared. Primeval, I think it belongs in A tier. I think it's a good spec. You know, you're cucking yourself out of the Songcraft damage, but you do trade that out for survivability. And, you know, it's fun to play. I don't think it belongs in S tier, as much as I would like to put it up there. Ebonsong, fantastic. You know, the DPS is there, the mobility is there. Good in ones, if you're a good player. Good in raids. It's just a good all-round. It's fucking OP at the moment in raids. Mages are broken. Yeah, listen, Primeval does get points because if you're mage heavy on your server, it does give you a ton of survivability. And if you see an Arc Lightning coming, Conversion Shield can save your life. And it is super easy to tell when an Arc Lightning is coming. So, yeah, maybe we'll give Primeval an S tier. The survivability is definitely valuable in raids. Trickster, really, really fun in 1 versus 1. Kind of not as good in raids because you don't have the DPS output, but you do have the mobility and a little bit of CC. And you can do, like, bullshittery with, like, putting a bubble down and standing in it, and then being safe from melees and shit like that. But standing still as an archer does feel kind of bad. I don't think it deserves an SS tier. Just because it's just not as good as Ebonsong in raids. And like I said, we're valuing raid stuff more here. Speaking about Primeval, Legalized says, it's fucking OP in the moment in raids. Mages are broken. Protective Wings gives you immunity to magic damage, by the way, for 4 seconds with the new Ancestral. That's not available on our region yet, so that's actually really good. Yeah, I do remember people telling me about that. So yeah, that does make it better, especially in your guys' version. We're a little bit behind. So yeah, Trickster, S tier, solid in 1s, solid in small scale, a little bit lacking on the large scale side of things just because of damage. Ranger, why you got Vitalism in your build, bro? Unless you're doing PvE and you got a club as your main hand as an archer, I don't see what you're doing. I guess you can Mirror Light people to deal more damage, so maybe we'll just chuck it in B tier, but I don't know, bro. I don't know what you're trying to do with Ranger. I don't know what you're trying to do. Shade Hunter, I think belongs in SS tier. I think it doesn't have the DPS output in raids that Ebonsong does, obviously, but it is really, really, really good in 1s. Much better than Trickster, and it is definitely better than Ebonsong in 1s. I think it deserves SST, and I don't think I'll get much kickback for putting it there. Hex Ranger, get the fuck out. Yeah, SS, yeah. See, Legalize is an archer main. I'm gonna take his word for it, and I think it belongs in SS tier. All I'll say is if I get into a 1 vs 1 as pretty much any class, and I'm up against a Shade Hunter, and I know they're a decent player, I'm shaking in my boots and I'm a little bit stirred, right? I'm like, man, this is not going to be fun to verse. If I don't have my Defiance up in round 2, he's going to probably kill me because he's going to combo me to death, right? It's really painful, especially as a mage, right? The amount of silence duration that you can keep up on a target as a Shade Hunter is fucking crazy. And not only that, stillness and shit in raids is just really good. Occultism is good, right? So, yeah, I think it belongs in SS tier. So that's our archers done. That's pretty quick. We flew through that. A little bit of water. You have OP combos at Shade Hunter. You can Life Drain and Fending. Yeah, there's lots of combos. There's tons of combos. Crows and Blazing for stun. Yeah, there's tons of combos, which is what makes it really good in 1 vs 1, right? Even with Defiance in the meta, you can only Defiance one thing, and if you have like fucking 10, 15 different dumbass CC combos you can do as a Shade Hunter, then you're really going to make someone's day painful. Alright, we have a lot of healer classes in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do tanks first, because we only have a couple of them to cover, and then we'll do healers last, alright? Let's see where to start. Alright, let's do the more hybrid-y ones first, which are more focused on DPS, but are definitely more frontline magey classes. So, like, we'll do the hybrid ones first. So, Revenant, SS tier. No one's gonna... I don't give a fuck if you argue with me on that. If you play a tanky Revenant, a squishy Revenant, or a hybrid Revenant where you're, like, kind of tanky, kind of damage, it's fantastic no matter what. Revenant's really good, and it's really good in 1s as well, just because Occultism carries in 1s. And Revenant really counters a lot of other mages in 1s, and Occultism just is annoying for pretty much every spec. So, yeah, Revenant really, really good in 1s against a lot of specs. And it's just fantastic in raids, no matter which way you build it. It's just good to have a Revenant. Same with, not that, same with Pit Fighter. Pit Fighter is probably lacking in 1s, just because it's, you know, it's Pit Fighter. But it's really, 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 really good in raids. Because you can really safely just sit up the front and just fucking put out damage as a Malediction mage, right? And you have good survivability sitting in the front line with your raid breakers, putting out damage on those clumps, close range with Malediction as a dual wield mage. And it's really fun to play. Definitely SS tier. Skull Knight, another SS tier, bro. Like, really, really fucking good. Same with Nightcloak. Like, no one's gonna argue with these, right? Defiler, I don't think Defiler belongs in SS tier alongside Nightcloak and Skull Knight, but we'll leave it down here. Dreambreaker, yeah, belongs in SS tier as well. Skull Knight, Nightcloak, Dreambreaker, they're all basically doing the same thing not the same thing, but having a mixture of these in any raid as tanks is fantastic, right? Skull Knight's great, you got your occultism, you got your defense. Nightcloak, you got your occultism, you got your witchcraft. And Dreambreaker, you got your defense and you got your witchcraft. So, there we go. Fantastic, right? No one's going to argue with any of those decisions. Now, next one, Blighter. I don't think Blighter belongs anywhere in S or above. It's good, and it does give you defense, and it's probably solid. It's solid in ones, but I don't think it's as good as Abolisher in raids. And I also... does Abolisher deserve to be up here? Because it's actually really good in raids. And that's actually kind of solid in ones. Because what you're lacking without having stealth and occultism, defense kind of helps with, especially in ones. Because you can just, let someone open on you without being really scared about it, because you can just invince instantly. I think Abolisher deserves... Okay, now when I'm thinking Abolisher, by the way, I'm not thinking some dumb fuck with a shield and sword, like, thinking they're doing damage. I'm thinking, like, a two-hand melee with a decent chunk of stamina, sitting up the front line, putting out some bullshit defense crap, and then just triple slashing a clump to death, right? You think Abolisher's SS tier? I think so too. I think it deserves SS tier, which I never thought I'd be doing, but the meta's shifted away from retards doing shield and sword crap with Abolishers, and just being super tanky and not really committing any damage to a raid, to two-hand DPS melees, sitting in the front line and never dying, but doing a fuckload of damage. Two-hand Abolisher is scary as fuck. Yeah, I agree. I think it deserves SS tier. And like I said, we're weighing 1v1 less, and although I think overall it probably belongs in an S for 1 vs 1, it definitely belongs in SS tier for raids. So I think overall we're going to give it an SS tier. And yeah, I'm happy with that. I think all of those tanks definitely belong in SS tier. Wow, tanks are just really good, aren't they? Not that Pitfighter's really a tank. Pitfighter's definitely more of a DPS spec, but it's kind of like what two-hand Abolisher is, right? It's just with Malediction instead. You're sitting in the front line with dual-wield weapons, you got the survivability, and you're putting out tons of damage. Pitfighters are scary. Same with DPS Revenants, right? But yeah, Abolisher, we know what it's trying to do. As long as you guys understand that when I'm thinking Abolisher and SS tier, I'm thinking two-hand Abolishers with some tanky stats. I'm thinking like 2 parts strength, 1 part stamina, maybe even half stamina strength. They still got the damage there because they're full DPen, but they got the survivability because they got a lot of defensive rolls, right? Fucking solid class. Very, very good. Now, we've got a lot of healer classes here. Like, holy shit. And this is going to be tough for me because healer is what I have the least experience with out of everyone else, and people like to troll me with this bullshit. So, it's tough for me to get through the healer shit, especially without all my healer guys in chat. So I don't have Crips here, we don't have Humi here, we only have Kali here, and Kali's the biggest troll nerd in the healer ascendancy. So, before we get into the healer stuff, we'll do the kind of mix, we'll do the bards, because I have 2 bard classes in here, which are Poxbane and Tomb Warden. Poxbane is a Songcraft bard with Witchcraft. I don't think it's really fucking fantastic to have a bard in your raid, at maybe like 2 maximum if you have a really big raid of like, 100 people. It's really good to have a bard in your raid. Having consistent songs and consistent charms is fucking fantastic, and legitimately these classes are actually pretty good in sparring, so there's that also. But Poxbane I don't think is as good as Tomb Warden, so I think it probably belongs in S tier under the circumstances that you're taking it into a raid as a songbot. Tomb Warden I think belongs in SS tier because it's just a better songbot in my opinion than Poxbane, and like I said, it's invaluable to have a songbot in your raids, and I don't think you guys can really argue with that. And if anyone has anything to say about that, fuck you. Having a bard, for me, as a DPS, when there's a bard in my raid, I feel so much stronger than when there's not. Because healers, I'm sorry, but most of you get caught up healing people, keeping your pocket DPSs alive, and backdrop mending and shit, keeping the raid alive, which is you're doing a great job. I'm not criticizing you at all, but it's difficult as a healer to keep songs up all the time, right? And a lot of the time, unless you're really just zerging and, you know, there's not much healing that needs to be done, you're not doing charms super often, and you're not playing songs and keeping them up super reliably. So having a Tomb Warden up to keep those songs up and keep those charms out, and it's just fantastic. Now, Poxbane I don't think belongs SS tier. I've given it some thought. I think it belongs S tier just because I think Tomb Warden's better. Alright, now this is probably where the most controversy is going to stem from this video, because healers are all like stubborn little fuckers. All of you, boys and girls that play healers, you're all stubborn little cunts, and you're all going to just have your dumbass opinion, and you're going to just be like, meh, you play DPS, and you don't know anything about healer. And look, you're pretty much right, but I'm going to judge this based on what I understand from playing with a lot of healers, from having a pocket healer a lot of the time that I've played this game, and also from what I see people playing more often. So keep in mind when I'm listing these that the meta, it's currently 7.0 in my region in Southeast Asia. You guys in NA and EU are on 7.5, I do believe. So maybe there's some slight changes, so maybe this will change slightly. But this is for 7.0 for my opinion. Now, let's see. Let's start with Edgewalker. Edgewalker. Fuck, this is not going to be easy. Edgewalker. It's good. It's good. It's good for the... No, it's good. It's good for the healing output, but I think it's not as good as Doombringer. S tier? Yeah. See, I'm thinking Doombringer SS tier, Edgewalker. It's good. Not as much survivability, but you do get the drop back mend bullshit, but that's gone, right? So, Edgewalker, S tier, solid, because you can do, like, your, what the fuck are the stacks from Shadowplay called? You can do crazy fucking healing with the stacks from Shadowplay, and the healing output's really good, and you do have the CC, and you do have the fucking Pain Harvest and shit, which is great, but it's not as good as Doombringer, which definitely belongs in SS tier. Doombringer is a fantastic class. It's just so good. The bleed immunity from Pain Harvest makes them really fucking hard to kill as a melee nowadays. And it's just a solid class, right? Okay. So, Assassin, moving on, is basically like the maximum output healer class, in my opinion. It's basically Assassin and Confessor. Both belong in SS. Is that what you said? You said Assassin. You didn't say anything about Confessor. Why not Confessor? Do you not think Confessor belongs in SS tier, Carly? I think it belongs in SS tier. I think... Is it inferior to Assassin, though? Does it belong in S tier because of that? I'm not sure. Oh, you said... Oh, you did say Conf. My bad, yeah. You said Confessor. Alright, yeah, I'm going to leave it in SS tier. I think Assassin and Confessor, very similar. Both very, very good. The healing output is there. Obviously, you don't have, like, the crazy CC or anything like that that a Doombringer or an Edgewalker is going to have. And not as much survivability, because you're going to be more squishy. But the healing output is fantastic. And having a couple Confessors and Assassins in your raid is really, really good. Now, Soothsayer... same goes for Soothsayer. I think Soothsayer belongs in SS tier just because of they're extremely valuable in the water. You have more survivability than a Confessor does, and you still have the stealth capabilities, and you have, you know, a lot more mobility as well. What are you guys doing? Oh god, you guys arguing in chat. See, I knew this would start as soon as fucking Halo shit came up. But yeah, Soothsayer I think belongs in SS tier. It's pretty much been an SS tier for ages now. It's always just been fantastic in the water. Stealth rezzing is just so valuable in raids. And not to mention that, Soothsayer is actually pretty good in ones. So there's that. Templar, sorry, not interested. Templar, get the fuck out of here. Cleric has really just fallen out of the meta, hasn't it? Like, it's good on paper still, but like everything that it's trying to do, like the song side of things, you're just better as an assassin or a confessor. The Oromancy side of things, like you just don't have stealth too, which is just kind of shitty. Like Cleric just sucks now, doesn't it? Like, it's still good. Like, if someone was playing Cleric, I wouldn't be like, why are you playing Cleric? It's just not as good. There's so many good healer specs at the moment, and Cleric is just kind of... Like, does it really just... Am I a piece of shit if I put Cleric, like... If I put Cleric, like, down here, like in Templar fucking region? Am I a bad guy? Like, shit. I feel bad doing that. Fuck. Alright, Sorry Song. Now, Sorry Song, I think, is good, and it's pretty much on par with Edgewalker, but I feel like the playstyle of songs and occultism just doesn't feel that good. Like, tell me I'm wrong, but keeping songs up consistently just does not go hand in hand with the aggressive playstyle that you're allowed to do as occultism. Unless you're taking fucking, I don't know, occultism less for the CC and more for just the, I don't know. Unless you just want the CC for defensive capability. Nah, you know, fuck it. I don't think it's as good as Edgewalker or fucking Doombringer. So I'm just gonna put it down here. I think it belongs in A tier. And we're not off the screen yet, are we? Alright, cool. Instigator is SS tier. Nope, I agree, Bella. Oh, I forgot about Instigator. Yeah, Instigator is probably S or even SS tier. Instigator is really good. So yeah, sorry about all you Instigator folks out there. Instigator is really, really good. Good class. It's honestly, it belongs basically with fucking Pitfighter. Instigator's good. Hierophant. Now Hierophant. Now this is probably SS tier. Does anyone disagree with SS tier for Hierophant? I think Hierophant's pretty fucking good. But the thing that throws me is I don't see many people playing Hierophant. Is it different in NA and EU? Do you see many people in NA and EU playing Hierophant? I think if Hierophant belongs in SS tier, I don't think Athame does. I know if you're really geared, you can afford to play Athame, or Athame, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. If you have really good cast time as a mage, Athame probably feels really good. Same with Hierophant. But I feel like Hierophant's better than Athame. Am I wrong in saying that? It's like I said, it's not like S tier is bad. It's just that I think Hierophant is just a little bit better than Athame. Athame is S tier with Assassin. You think Assassin belongs in S tier as well? I like Assassin though. Because Assassin, it's not like you're trying to keep up songs and shit, which is gets kind of clunky if you don't have your rhythm stacks up. So it's a little bit, and you do get the attack speed. I don't know, dude. It's tough. You know, I do like Confessor more than Assassin, so maybe we'll chuck Assassin into S tier for now, and we'll think about it. Necromancer, I'm sorry, I feel like you're going too heavy into CC trees as a Necromancer. I think Necromancer is like, okay, Necromancer could be solid if you played like a really tanky like plate healer with like really heavy stamina, kind of like who's that dumbass on West? Is it Purger? Who's the one that has like that always runs Vitalism but doesn't heal for very much and it's just really tanky? Purger, right? Like if that kind of player was playing Necromancer, it wouldn't be that bad. But I don't know if it even belongs in A tier. I feel like it's very niche for it to actually be good, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. And then Shadowbane. Literally don't even remember what Shadowbane is. What the fuck is a Shadowbane? What is a Shadowbane? Let me pull open this. We're looking like Vitalism. It's probably like, is it like occultism defense or some shit? That's Justicar. God, people have played Justicar, which is weird. Defense, Vitalism, Witchcraft. Oh, it's that. I don't know, I don't like that. I don't like that. This just doesn't look good in my face. Like, if you have really good cast time, it'd probably feel alright, but why you got defense, bro? Like, you that scared of melees? You don't like Athame because no stealth? But healers do have Great Club from library these days, so it's not like they can't drop combat. It's actually broken. Is it good? Man. You're gonna tell me Shadowbane's good? Why is it so good? Is it what? Because you got like Life Lasso? In Russia, it's meta? Really? Do they just have fuckloads of melee and they're scared of melees over there or some shit? I understand defense just gives you a ton of... Oh, actually, with archers and ranged and melee, like archers and ranged just being so prominent right now, maybe like the block side of defense makes it a lot better. Or just, just having like high block rate, maybe, makes it more viable. I don't know. Does blocking an arrow prevent cast time kickback? Alright, Legalize, I'll see you then. For the Q&A. That's what I want to know. Does blocking an attack prevent any casting kickback? So if I'm in the middle of casting a mend... Wait, can you block while casting? Can you? No. Yeah? No. Maybe you can't. Is that a thing? I don't even know. I played a cast time mage forever and I don't even know if you can fucking block and shit. Obviously I don't have a shield, but still. I don't know. See, Shadowbane's one that I don't really know about. I've not seen people play it. In my head it just seems like a weird matchup. I don't pay attention. Then why the fuck are you telling me that's so good? No, because you counter all the Death Pen melee and archers. Yeah, I get that because you have a lot of defense, but I don't know. Like, if you really want defense that badly, just play like fucking Templar or some shit. Like, I don't know. I don't know, dude. I don't think it belongs anywhere higher than A tier, even if you tell me it's fantastic. I'd rather put it in B tier. See, I don't want to bait people into playing this because I don't know. Life Lasso would be good because you can pull dumbass melees that are trying to overextend back to you. If you're really tanky, you can taunt players to get people off your targets that you're trying to keep up. Readout's nice, the CC break is nice, invincibility is good to protect yourself. Zoning yourself within prison and then mending is probably solid, I guess. Cheer giving you a ton of HP is probably solid. Being able to retribution so that melees that are trying to kill you 1 vs 1 can kill themselves is probably solid. But then that's just defense being solid. And it's not... Like, why is witchcraft there? Like, what does defense give you that just having Auramancy wouldn't be better? Like, you go Auramancy and you have more defenses against mages, which, if you're a clothy, I guess is probably not that important. But you get the CC breaks, you get mobility, you get shield protection against, which does help against melees. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it in B tier. You guys can duke it out in the comments if you disagree with me. That's our list. I'm gonna go with that. I think that's our list. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go over the SS tier. So, SS tier, we have Spiritualist, Fanatic, and Spellslinger. All fantastic mage classes. No one's gonna disagree with that. They're all great. You could make an argument for some of the other mage classes being up here in SS tier, but I'm pretty happy with those being SS tier, and Pitfighter too. Pitfighter, Revenant are the 2 hybrid classes that are in there as well. For melee, for Battlerage specifics, leaning towards the 2-hander melees, we got Dark Runner, Executioner, Blood Reaver, Hexblade. Then for the Swiftblade bullshittery, we have Cursebrand Deathwish sitting up there. I'd love to put Swiftshot up there, but I'm gonna get memed too hard if I do that. And then for the more defensive melee, we have Abolisher sitting in there too, which is, you could do it with a shield and a sword, but you're an idiot if you do, because 2-hander is probably just way better. Then we have our Ebonsong and our Shade Hunter, our Raid King and our 1v1 King up there in SS tier. And then we have our tanks, we have our Skull Knights, our Nightcloaks, our Dreambreakers. Abolisher's sitting in there too, because that counts as a tank, I feel like, even though it's more of a hybrid. Put it alongside the Pitfighter and Revenants and sit here as the hybrids. And then we got our Tomb Warden, which is our Songbot, raid only specific. Very good to have 1, maybe 2 of them in a raid, depending on the size of your raid. Why wouldn't you? Put a tank on Tomb Warden, put a geared healer on Tomb Warden. They don't have to have a great club or anything like that. Just make them really tanky and difficult to kill. Put them on a Tomb Warden. We've even been running our Tomb Warden as a flag bearer in fucking sieges, just because why not make them just a full-on aura bot at that point? And then we got our healers. We have our Doombringer, Confessor, Soothsayer, Hierophant. Some of you would probably like to have some of the S tier classes up there in SS tier, but I don't think anyone's really going to argue with these. I think the only argument that could be made here is maybe put Soothsayer in S tier, just because other classes do things better than it in certain scenarios, like on the land and things like that. But Soothsayer is good. I like the class, and it's cool to say. So there we go. Yeah, tier list, boys. How we doing? What's up? I'm pretty happy with that list. It didn't take us that long, right? Like 30 minutes? Maybe that was probably closer to an hour, but shit. And I completely forgot to hit record at the start of the video, so I'm going to have to be ripping this off the stream. But anyway, guys, say hello to YouTube. And yeah, thanks for watching my tier list video. I had fun doing this on stream. Peace out.